Now, this is President Pretoria to the Union buildings. I think it is the Pretoria Showgrounds where people actually get picked up and then taken to the Union buildings. In studio, as I said, Professor Susan Poison. Professor, let's talk about his legacy. What does this man stand for? I mean, this is his last term, as you have said.
Well, caring, a better life for all. And, of course, that implies not just services, but employment. And so that is a big issue that really needs to be tackled. And South Africans also come into this election this time, 20 years into democracy, without that euphoria and the massive expectations that they've had in 1994. Of course, some basic needs have been seen too. Much transformation has happened. But they are much more cynical, as I said, and fewer expectations that things are going to happen magically. So they also look at this government. Are these people that they can really trust to further take them forward? Are these representatives that they have elected people that will take their needs very seriously and will be connected with their communities? And that connection that President Jacob Zuma so vividly promised when he came in 5 years ago, that one still remains. We saw the ANC from the recent election, their president being inaugurated today, saying we've learned from this election to be moving closer to our people. So to have that connection, that representation actively day to day, and people will also be looking at, could their needs have been fulfilled better had there been less corruption, less maladministration, misgovernment in the government departments. So they will be expecting President Zuma to make a bigger impact than he did in his previous term, in ensuring that there is clean government, and perhaps even saying, we as government have made mistakes. We are prepared to look at ourselves, step back and do things better in the next 5 years. I believe that is the kind of statement that will make a massive impression on the public mind.
How patient is this public, though, that we speak about? In terms of, waiting for stuff to happen, waiting for the president to deliver. Yes. We saw in these elections that the ANC lost some ground in Gauteng. Yes, they won the province, but a percentage of that went to other parties. What does that mean? What does that say about the South African public and the level of patience?
They are actually extremely patient. They do not expect these miracles to be happening every day, but they want feedback from their government as to, this is how far we are. We know you've been saying this. You needn't protest to tell us. We will be in your communities regularly to listen to you, to give you feedbacks. So they are actually extremely patient, but they have also been waiting a long time. And it's interesting, the ANC campaign, the good story to tell, was actually also had a dark side in that it reminded those communities, especially like in provinces like Gauteng, where there's so much migration from other parts of the country, and there's severe pressures on the social services. It reminded so many of those people. Again, other people have had this kind of delivery, but we not. So a massive task is to close those gaps between those who have and have not, between the leaders who have and the people who see that they do not have as much as the leaders have.
What do you see him standing for this time around? It's his second inauguration. He needs to be clear. The guidelines and what he stands for must be very clear. At the top of that list with the President Jacob Zuma's government, the one thing that they were very vocal about is, the numbers of HIV as well. But corruption is also at the top of that list as well. The critics saying he's not doing enough to fight, corruption, but, the positive side has been the fight against HIV/AIDS. What are some of the things that he needs to be really focusing on at the moment?
Oh, absolutely. It is... The health, it's education, those services, because we know that so much delivery has happened, yet the quality of the health service that the community can get in their local clinics without being sent back 3 days in a row, say we full today, come tomorrow, just a basic little medication. Or education, we know the figures are good, we know the quality is often very, very critically lacking. And to close those gaps, not just to give the managerial list delivery, yes, so many shelters, so many social grants, etc., but to look at the quality of what has been going into delivery and to recognize that delivery is not once off. Delivery takes maintenance, sustenance, and people, it's not just a once-off thing. People are continuously looking at...
Good morning to you. 10th win of the season and also their 10th in a row over the Blues. Let's take a look.
The Sharks do love playing the Blues. They haven't lost to the Auckland side in almost a decade. And after last week's heroics in Christchurch, who would bet against the Durban Control 16-6 up? persistent offside infringement. The Sharks rallied, capitalizing on some calamitous Blues play. Fortunate from their championship aspirations. Meanwhile, the Waratahs scored a priceless 41-19 bonus point win over the Rebels to overtake the Brumbies in the race for supremacy of the Australian Conference. The Brumbies have it all to do against the Bulls tonight if they want to regain top spot.
Football news, Banyana have all but confirmed themselves a spot in this year's African Women's Championships to be played in Namibia. Banyana thrashed the Comores by a whopping 13-0 in their qualifier yesterday. With the return leg of the qualifier coming in a week's time, the South Africans are unlikely to relinquish their lead, rather. The bigger picture, though, for coach Vera Pauw and Banyana will be a top 3 finish at the African Women's Championship, which will secure them qualification to next year's Women's World Cup in Canada. Still in football, the South African under-20 team is preparing to face Ethiopia in the second round or second leg match of their 2015 Africa Youth Championships qualifiers tomorrow. The team is training at the Eldorado Park grounds ahead of this important clash.
There's a quiet confidence in the South African camp ahead of their return leg against Ethiopia. The team takes a 2-0 lead into the match. Even though they have this lead, Captain Ayabulela Magwaka believes the home leg will prove tougher.
We have a lot to prove to the fans. It's going to be more tougher here at home. Obviously everybody's going to try and keep on pushing and get a better result here at home.
Amajita have had rigorous preparations for Sunday's match, and the lads believe in their strategies.
We've done a lot of preparations. We even had a practice match against School of Excellence. Everything went well. The coach has been rectifying a couple of mistakes, and I think we know what we're going to do, and hopefully we're going to go into the game on Sunday and execute everything. Coach
Shakes Mashaba, like his captain, thinks that the return leg will be tougher than what they endured in Addis Ababa. That said, though, Mashaba is pleased that the team does not have any major injury concerns.
We've done the hard work, but we're still left with the hardest work to do. Playing at home, you know, it's no more luxury anymore. It's got a lot of pressures. You've got a lot of things that are working against you. We have a clean bill of health. We've got only one boy who's got muscle spasms, which is not a football-related problem.
Amajita take on Ethiopia at the Dobsonville Stadium. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock. Nigelo Madala, SABC News, Eldorado Park.
The ultimate human race beckons. Runners have entered the final stretch of preparations for this year's Comrades Marathon. They're a special group from seasoned campaigners to nervous novices, and one man is vying for a record 46th finish.
An ultra-marathon that requires loads of effort. 71-year-old Dave Rogers knows all about that. He ran his first Comrades Marathon back in 1961. His best result, 3rd position in 1976, and he's still pounding the streets trying to get race ready for his 46th. It's a race, he says, that has evolved over the years, but one aspect remains the same.
What hasn't changed, and that is that don't look at the front of the field, look from the mid to the back of the field. That has never changed. That camaraderie amongst all races, men, women, you name it, is exactly the same.
It's a down run this year.
This is the 89th edition of the race, 89 kilometers as well, and in terms of the number of runners, we've got a capacity field of capped at 18,000, and we have that number of entrants in, but in the day or on the day we tend to get around about 16,500 to 17,000 actual feet on the road.
The epic journey between Durban and Pietermaritzburg takes place on June 1st. Blaine Herman, SABC News, Durban.
Well, that's a wrap from the sports desk. Let's say good morning to Andile Masuku.
Well, thanks once again to you, Lebo. Now let's take a look at your provincial weather forecast starting in Gauteng. We know there's quite a big event that is happening in the province today. We are going to see those temperatures starting into the single digits. Pretoria at 6 this morning, but that's going to get quite mild later on with a high of 23, 22 for Johannesburg and Springs with a bit of partly cloudy skies that are going to take us through the rest of the weekend. Limpopo expecting sunny and cool conditions as well. 23 is your high in Polokwane, 24 in Mokopane, and Lephalale will see a high of 25 degrees. All those temperatures are going to begin into the single digits, high single digits later this morning rather, but we are going to see that remaining pretty mild. A similar trend is anticipated for most of Mpumalanga. Middleburg at 4 this morning, 2 in Standerton, Mkondo at 10 and 14 in Bombela. Later on, those temperatures are going to be reaching a high of 25 degrees there. Partly cloudy skies are going to be seen towards the western half of the province. We're not expecting much weather changes in KwaZulu-Natal, but sunny and warm conditions are anticipated towards the south of KwaZulu-Natal. 8 in Vryheid this morning. And 16 is your start in Richards Bay, 12 in Pietermaritzburg, and also seeing a high of 26. That's going to be for Durban and in Pietermaritzburg, respectively. The Eastern Cape anticipating windy conditions reaching up to 35 kilometers per hour, especially along the coast, but temperatures will remain into the high 20s. 27 in Port Elizabeth and East London, 26 in Queenstown, although those temperatures will start into the double digits this morning. Aliwal North is at 4 this morning, 9 in Somerset East, and also Willow Moor is at 8. West of the country, though, is a different story. We're going to see the effect of that cold front coming through. Starting at 11 in Cape Town, we're going to see partly cloudy and rainy conditions. Wind speeds as well have been predicted by meteorologists today, especially towards the southwestern parts of the country there. We are anticipating up to 60 kilometers per hour from a northwesterly direction there. So do try and put in a windbreaker or something.
Combination of a lot of now.
It's a beautiful occasion. I mean, it's be there in terms of the members of the public house, but so many of them come here. South Africa.
We as Africans, we have to embrace what is unique about us and about our music.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays, 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
One of the most recognized.
Bloemfontein and in Pretoria, yes, an extra jacket is expected for you there as well. Those temperatures are going to get quite chilly, but also warming up slightly later on this afternoon. Palabora at 12 this morning, 18 in Durban and in Richards Bay, and 16 is your start for Cape Town. But if you're going to be in the Western Cape region, those temperatures will struggle just a bit to improve. 20 will be your high in Cape Town, 30 in George, and 27 for Port Elizabeth and East London. Parts of KwaZulu-Natal will see those temperatures into the mid to high 20s, with Richards Bay at 28 degrees, 20 in Ermelo, as well as 23 for Pretoria. So we are going to see those temperatures just slowly becoming mild, maybe even warmer if you're traveling towards the northeastern parts of the country. And now looking into your extended forecast, that cold front makes its exit towards parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. It is going to leave a bit of a cooling trend there. Partly cloudy skies are expected, and also some isolated showers taking us through to Saturday and on Sunday, where that cold front makes its complete exit, leaving sunny but cool conditions for your Monday. Well, that's all from me for now. Do stay tuned for more.
Thank you, Andile. Now, the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa, Chief Justice Mogoeng will preside over the swearing-in of President Jacob Zuma at the Union Buildings later this morning. In a very short while, around 11 this morning, the President will take his oath of office in front of a large crowd of spectators. While most South Africans will witness the event on live television, we are asking the question, what is the significance? And with us in studio is, of course, the Chief Justice Mogoeng. Sir, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and to your viewers.
Everybody is talking about inauguration. Where does this concept come from?
I really don't know where it comes from, but I seem to recall, since the President will be taking out an oath, I'm sure I'm entitled to make some reference to the Bible, which is where the oath really comes from. In the years gone by, you would have a king anointed, and that would signify the assumption of the high responsibility of king. People would be in attendance, and there are promises that a king dare not break, that he would have to make to the nation in relation to the way he or she was going to govern them. So that's where it came from.
So President Jacob Zuma is going to take oath. What does this actually mean?
Well, very much in the nature of the oath as in the Constitution, he's going to be making a promise to the nation. He recognizes in terms of that oath as it is structured that there are many people present. So he says, in the presence of people present here, and in full appreciation of the high office that I assume as President of the Republic, I make a solemn and sincere promise. Those are the words in his oath of office, because it's different from the oath of office of all others. What it signifies is this, that you don't ascend to a position just to enjoy the position. It comes with serious challenges, it comes with serious responsibilities, and those on whose behalf you're going to be running the country need to know what is it that you are promising them. And it's different from an ordinary campaign. I say ordinary because, you know, there is room to say I was quoted out of context there, etc., etc. It's very serious because not only do you do it in the presence of multitudes, including foreign heads of states, you're doing it placing your hand in the Holy Bible and in the presence of the Chief Justice, who, as you know, is the head of the judiciary. What that means to the nation is, if he's going to say this in the presence of the multitudes, to our hearing, and in the presence of the Chief Justice, to whom our complaints would have to go in the form of court cases in the event of the president failing to carry out what he has undertaken to do, then this must be serious. So it's a very serious vow that anybody would dare make in the presence of people.
You know, I beg your pardon, the Constitution states that the President-elect will be sworn in within 5 days, you know, of being elected by the National Assembly. Is this hard and fast rule, or are there exceptions taken?
Well, it's very strict, but there are always exceptions. Say he falls sick on the day of the inauguration, or some days before, impracticable. Judge.
Welcome back to the Union Buildings here in Pretoria as we wait anxiously for the inauguration of our President Jacob Zuma. It's 20 minutes past 7. It's wonderful being with you on such a special occasion as we come to you live from the amphitheater, the Nelson Mandela Amphitheater. This is where this occasion is taking place. 4,500 invited guests are descending here. We've seen so many dignitaries already arriving, taking their seats, ambassadors from various countries that are represented here in South Africa. We've seen some of our dignitaries, I think on screen now. I was told that this is Steve Tshwete's wife, which is nice to see her coming in as well. We saw Itumeleng Khune arriving. He was probably one of the first people to arrive. We also saw Jesse Duarte just a few minutes ago walking in. We saw Kulubuse Zuma also walking up, taking his seat with his wife by his side as they're here to see his uncle being inaugurated. We've also seen the former general of the police, Bheki Cele, and his wife walking in. And we saw former Minister Dina Pule arriving. We've seen so many people. I'm just trying to remember some of those that have actually come through and up these stairs. So this is just a very prestigious occasion to be a part of. And anybody that is invited certainly does relish in the glory of being a part of this guest list. Now, behind me you can see, I just want to talk you through what I've been told by the Minister in the Presidency, Collins Shabane. You'll see the chairs right in the front there, and those are the black chairs that are surrounded by blue chairs right in the front of the podium. Now, you'll see that those chairs are reserved for all of the heads of state that are coming from all of the countries here, whether it be from the African continent or whether it be from some of our BRICS partners or other international presidents that have agreed to be here, and also some of the representatives from there, very high up officials that are coming. Now, around the black chairs are blue chairs, and those blue chairs are going to be occupied by our ministers that are in the presidency right now. Now, you know that their term comes to an end the minute the president-elect is signed into presidency, and that's going to be happening now. So the president-elect is President Jacob Zuma. He is the standing president of South Africa. So he is going to be signing on the dotted line. And then, of course, we'll be hearing who the new ministers are after that, perhaps tomorrow. Michael Hutley on your screens right now as well. You'll see him sitting there watching on very, very patiently as proceedings are expected to get underway at about 11 o'clock. Now, a lot of work goes into something like this, and you can imagine that the army, they play such a big role, and they always seem to be the highlight of these events. events as officials do so much work behind the scenes with the Falcons, with the South African Airways, and all of the Defence Force getting involved. Well, to talk us through the plans and the involvement of the SANDF is the General Golani Mbanga, who is, of course, a spokesperson for the SANDF. It's so nice to see you again, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, Leanne, and good morning to the viewers too.
Now, the President is actually known as the Commander-in-Chief. Talk to us about this. What does this title mean for him?
Well, the President of the country, who is the head of government, also becomes the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Hence, the President-elect is also Commander-in-Chief of the South African National Defence Force.
Okay, so the SANDF's top 6 generals will be on the podium. We've spoken about that. Now, I haven't spoken about that to the viewers. You can see that there are 14 chairs up there. We've got officials from the SANDF, from the SAPS, the Justice Mogoeng, President Jacob Zuma, who is the president-elect as well, and his wife, who I was told by the Minister Collins Shabani is probably going to be Makomalo, who will be by his side. Talk to us about the group that's consisting of the chiefs of the SANDF. Who will be up there?
Well, the composition of we call them the podium group. Now, it will be comprised of the South African National Defence Force generals as well as the South African Police Service commissioners. Now, on our side, we will have the Chief of the South African Defence Force, South African National Defence Force, that is General Soli Shoke. Then we'll have Chief of Joint Operations, that is Lieutenant General Derek Mkwebi. We'll have Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Masondo. Then we'll have Chief of the Air Force, Lieutenant General Zakes Msimang. Then we'll have Chief of the South African Navy, Admiral Hlongwane. Then we'll have Surgeon General, that is Lieutenant General Sidibe. That comprises the top 6 of the South African National Defence Force generals.
And they will all be represented up there?
Beg your pardon?
They will all be represented up there?
They will all be represented, or they'll all be having their seats up there at the podium, forming part of the podium group that will receive the President-elect up to the podium.
All right, let's now talk about, I think, what one could call the highlight of today. It's the 21-gun salute. It's the flyover by the Falcons, by SAA. Talk to us about this.
As for participation in ceremonial activities like this, in accordance to the South African ceremonial manual, is that we will have to provide the National Ceremonial Guard, who will provide the Guard of Honor. Then we'll have also to play the 21-gun salute, fire the 21-gun salute, that is in honor of the President. And then we'll have the South African Air Force performing some fly pass in helicopters that will be carrying the national flags, as well as the South African National Defence Force flag. And then the Crepans that will be following some of the composition of the flag, where we will have the cargo airplanes, the fighter airplanes or aircrafts, as well as the South African Airways that will also form part of the last fly past that will be demonstrated or displayed.
Amazing. And also SAA. Saw them rehearsing yesterday. It looks incredible. I mean, that is difficult. That's not something that comes easily for them to do what they were doing above this amphitheater.
No, not at all. It takes a lot of time in terms of planning and putting in the times together, and then they have to rehearse this as they've been rehearsing for the past 3 days in real-time exercise or rehearsals, in order to ensure that everything goes according to the timings. Because if you look at the formations that they will have, they also rehearse those things and time them accordingly.
General, thank you for talking to us. Enjoy the show. Good luck. I hope everything goes smoothly. General Golani Mbanga talking to us about the SANDF's role and what to expect here. 21-gun salute flyover by the Falcons, SAA. It's all going to be happening. 11 o'clock. That's when it's expected to all begin. All right, let's take an ad break. We'll be with you after this. Stay tuned.
World provides trusted world, continent and local stories. We deliver breaking news from across the globe and information on the latest top stories on business, technology, politics and sport. Analysis of the big global business and economic issues as they affect consumers and investors. Make sure you don't miss Your World, weekdays between 11 and 12 midnight. We keep the nation fully informed.
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record.
When you cross the line, what went through one's mind?
None of the four of us knew who had won. The scoreboard is always on the left, but all of us tend to the right. No, we just waited for the country to go down. RSA.
That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News.
It's just gone 7:30. A very good morning to you and a warm welcome to Morning Live. Let's give you stories making headlines this morning. Up to 20,000 spectators are expected to converge on the South African lawns of the Union buildings in Pretoria today to watch the inauguration of President Jacob Zuma for a second and final term of office. Pomp and ceremony will be the order of the day. 26 heads of state and 11 prime ministers will attend the inauguration along with 4,500 invited guests. The inauguration will be broadcast live on SABC2 and SABC's 24-hour channel 404 on a DSTV from 8:30 this morning until 1 today. The trade union AMCU and the Platinum Mines have denied a report that there's been an agreement on ending the Marathon Platinum Miners strike. The parties have been meeting at an undisclosed venue mediated by the Labour Court for the past 3 days. AMCU is demanding an entry-level salary of 12,500, which the mining companies say it is unaffordable. Hundreds of people gathered in Thailand's northeastern city of Chiang Mai yesterday evening for a candlelight protest against military rule, a day after the army chief seized power amid a political crisis. The army staged a coup on Thursday after failing to forge a compromise in a power struggle between a populist government and the royalist establishment, which brought months of sometimes violent unrest to Bangkok's streets. That's a wrap of the news headlines. Let's say good morning to Leanne Manners, who's standing by at the Union buildings, where President Jacob Zuma will take an oath this morning at his inauguration. Leanne, take it away.
Thanks very much, Lebo. Oh, what a place to be this morning. I have to tell you, it's just got such an amazing atmosphere. And just watching these dignitaries arriving, we have got a bird's eye view of this entire event. I have to tell you, it's just such a lovely position that we found ourselves in, where we're able to capture everybody walking up the stairs. As they get to the top of the stairs, all the guests are given an umbrella in case it rains today. But let me give you my professional weathercast. Definitely no rain. So I think those umbrellas are going to be used for the sun, because it's going to be a beautiful shiny day here. That's what I'm seeing from my point of view. You can see so many different sectors of society are represented here, and so many countries with their dignitaries that are going to be arriving soon. We had an announcement by the program directors, Jeff Radebe and Jesse Duarte. They are going to be the program directors for today, saying that any minute from now we're going to be receiving a lot of our guests from different countries. Now, there's the former mayor of Johannesburg. There is Amos Masondo. He's just walked in as well. There isn't anybody that hasn't represented. And there was Tina Jumat-Peterson, as you can see just in the corner of the screen. She was about to take her seat. She's the Minister of Fisheries as well. Now, The ministers, of course, are not ministers after the president signs his next term into leadership, because that is when it all comes to an end. So he's the president now. He's still the president now. But as soon as he signs on the dotted line as taking up the oath of office for the next 5 years as the president of South Africa, that's when the term ends for the ministers as well. And then they wait to find out if they'll continue to hold that position or a new minister will move in. Of course, if anything goes wrong, they are still there in that position until the next minister is announced and brought in. That's why we are expecting an announcement on the new ministers to happen tomorrow, so that they can start getting ready to prepare for their roles. So that's what to expect here when business resumes next week, because it almost feels like there's been so much during this election year in terms of politicking and everything else around it. So we need to get back to work after all is said and done. Also, traditional outfits that are present here, which is lovely, and lots of kings and queens coming from both here in South Africa and around the country as well. Now, there's so many aspects to this inauguration ceremony. Our president is South Africa's fifth since our country's democracy 20 years ago. But to talk more about what our country's image and branding means, we're now joined by Greuven and Chabaleng. He's from the Blue Cream Group, specializing in media and adverts. It's good to have you, Greuven. Welcome to what an amazing occasion, I suppose I can call it.
It is an amazing occasion, Leah, and I think it's good to be here. It's quite significant and very important. And as South Africans, as we celebrate the 20th freedom and democracy, and the 5th inauguration of the Republic of South Africa. So it's very, very, very important milestone in the history of South Africa.
What is the significance of today's inauguration in terms of marketing and branding?
I think there are a number of aspects. From an image point of view, as much as tourism plays a very important role in improving the image of the country, but events such as this plays a very significant role because they showcase to the rest of the world the political stability. So for any particular foreign direct investment to take place, there are a number of attributes that they are attributed to the brand or the image of any particular country. And one of the most important things is the political stability, because this political stability creates what we call an economic situation where the economy of the country can thrive, and the social stability, because we are able to attract the foreign direct investment.
This will be President Zuma's second term. What does he represent for the country around the world? Because, I mean, this is our leader of state. This is the man that represents us all over the world. So his brand is also important for us.
He's the ambassador of this country from an image point of view. And you could see it even in terms of the number of foreign representatives that are here in this particular country today, and in honoring him to be here. So as an ambassador for this particular country, that it's very important that the image of the country that is well intact and it's well represented. And if you take, for instance, the almost 8 of top 10 brands globally and are operating in this particular country. The likes of Google, the Microsoft, the IBM, they are all represented in this particular country. So we are a very strategic country that is a gateway to Africa, and then almost all the African leaders are here today to ensure and able to demonstrate how significant South Africa plays a role in Africa.
Well, it certainly does. I mean, when you look at the list of the dignitaries that are here, it talks about South Africa relations in the rest of the continent and in the rest of the world being represented here. It just almost solidifies our relationship with our partners and with the world. So it's vitally important that you do get a high caliber of individuals coming here.
Yeah, it's very important, Leanne, and you have to take into account that as we, this particular event taking place on the eve of the Africa Day, which is tomorrow, you have to take into account that any global company that wants to play a role in Africa. And first and foremost, they will probably try to establish their head offices in South Africa and use, because of our political stability, our economy, our infrastructure, and the image of this particular country. We have hosted a number of events in the world, the World Cup, but nothing that is so significant like the 5th inauguration of Republic of South Africa that is taking place today.
Also, we've spoken about international companies that are represented here. Let's talk about the international media that are also here covering this event, because it's important that we show to the world this incredibly professional side of ourselves, and that there has been a huge demand to cover this event. I think I heard in excess of 1,000 different media representatives are here from around the world. So the interest in the country it's very huge.
It is very huge. We are certainly a global player, and then also be a member of the BRICS countries, and so the media understand that you need to cover events such as this in this country that are taking place because of the role that we are playing, and being a member of BRICS, being a member of AU, and the role that we play as this particular country. So you will have all the global media that being participating and able to make sure that they televise this particular event live in their respective countries because of the role, like I said, this particular country plays.
Greuven, thank you for talking to us. Enjoy it. Is it your first inauguration?
No.
You're an old hand at this, eh? Greuven, enjoy it. Thank you for talking to us, and take your seat and just bask in the glory.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Greuven is talking to us here from Blue Cream, Greuven and Chamberlain. He's with the Blue Cream Group, specializing in media and advertising. Well, as we say, as much as I'm surrounded here by dignitaries and VIPs and heads of states from all of the countries that have agreed to be here, many of the African countries, we're also expecting the president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, to arrive any minute here, as well as all of the other countries that have agreed. I'll give you that list in a short while when you do come back to us. But besides these dignitaries, the very important people who voted the president into power are also coming out to celebrate with them today. And there's Mara Lowe. So it's not just politicians here. We're also seeing a lot of celebrities. So that's Mara Lowe. Sorry, I'm interrupting as I see faces that I recognize on the screen coming up the stairs. Steve Twitter as well, during our interview, also walked up the stairs. So as I was saying, it's not only about these dignitaries, VIPs. There's Danny Jordan also walking in. It's also about the people of South Africa who voted President Zuma into power, who will be coming to the Southern Lawns to enjoy a concert and a celebration and to be a part of this magnificent day. Griselda, you're standing there, and you told me from early this morning people have been making their way through into the Southern Lawns. What's it like now? I can imagine it's filling up very fast.
Oh, well, Leanne, I can certainly tell you what an electric atmosphere here. Many people have already started gathering. They're singing and dancing. As you can see, they've moved towards that area where all the entertainment is expected to take place. But let me show you exactly where they'll be watching this historic moment, the swearing in, the inauguration of President-elect Jacob Zuma. Right over there at that screen, that's where they'll be watching the inauguration from. But a lot of people are here saying that they've woken up as early as 2 a.m. to come and experience all of this, saying that they want to be part of history. They've never attended an inauguration before. But just to give you a bit of insight, Leanne, if there are any people who are affected by the road closures that are around the union buildings, you'd know that there are many road closures around here. If people who live in this area are affected by that, all they need to do is produce their municipal accounts to police officers at those entrances, and they will be allowed to get through. But let me see if I can speak to some of them at the moment. Come with me here at the moment. Okay, some of them are actually running away at the moment, very shy of television. Let me see if there's somebody who wants to speak to me at this. Hello, sir, how are you?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, sir, you here today, what are you here to do?
Sizogcoba umongameli la ngiqhamuka KwaZulu-Natal kwi-Greater Dukuza region elembeni. Sizogcoba umongameli president uMsholosi.
Usuke nini eKZN bhuti wami?
Sisuke izolo ngo-6 sizobeka umongameli wethu la esimkhonze kakhulu esimthandayo esithembele kakhulu kuyena ukuthi leli South Africa uzolibeka la sifuna liye khona.
Uyaqala ukufika la Union Buildings.
This is my first time and I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy. This is my first time.
Unethembiso ukuthi uzobonani la namhlanje bhuti wami. Okay, umculo uzobe khona neconcert izobe khona oZahara bozobe bekhona lana uzobonani la kahle kahle.
Bona bengaba khona oZahara kodwa into ebalekile nje ile yokuzogcoba umongameli ozobusa lelizwe ngokukholela ukuthi uyena kuphela ongenza impilo zabantu ishintshe. Ngiyababona koZahara ngiyobalalela nangelinye ilanga.
They'll listen to Zahara on any given day, but certainly they're looking to speak and to see President Jacob Zuma being inaugurated today. Mama kunjani?
Ngiyaphila.
Ngiyabona namhlanje ugqoke kahle kanjani namhlanje? How?
Misele kakhulu ngoba ngizogcoba umongameli wami umsholozi.
Ugqoke kahle usuka kuphi ma?
Ngisuka eNewcastle eMalahleni region.
Well, there seems to be a lot of people here from KZN. Mama, kubaleka kangakanani ukuthi ube khona la namhlanje? Usuke KZN uze lana kuyabanda nokubanda.
Kubalekile ukuthi ngizowitnessa ukubona ukugcotshwa kamongameli wami okhethwe yimi nangabantu bonke.
Mama, let's go this way. Let's see if we can talk to other people as well. Let's move towards this direction. Let's see who's not camera shy here at the moment. Let's move towards this direction and see if there's anybody who is able to speak to us. Baba kunjani? Wazasikhulume nawe baba. Wazasikhulume nawe. Baba usuka kuphi?
KZN.
Oh, another person from KZN. I choose them well. Baba uzokwenzani la namhlanje? Siyabona ukuthi concert ikhona and nokuthi kuzoba khona inauguration ka President elect uJacob Zuma.
Singizo celebrate no president ne-ANC nama South Africans onke nje la ePitoli.
When ufisa ukuthi uzobonani la namhlanje?
Upresident ukuthi achaze kabanzi ukuthi uzoyenza kanjani ukuthi moving South Africa forward uthi usiphathe njengentsha yase South Africa. Yes.
Let me just look for some young people as well. Let's move towards this direction here. What would an inauguration be without the people of South Africa? Young people, let me see if I spot one over here, right over here. Young people. Sabona Siswami. Kunjani. Nkona Siswami. Wena siyakubona namhlanje. Ukotoli. All right, guys, Siswami yaqala ufika la Union Buildings.
Qala ufika.
Mingapi iminyaka yakho?
Kinale 23.
23 years old. Wena sizobona la namhlanje.
Hlile ho tlo beya president wa ka mo stulong se mo tshwanelang tsatsing la ka jeno. Thabile haholo.
Uyaqala ukufika la Union Buildings manje. Why ukhetha ukuthi uze lana on this particular day? Why ungazanga previously ukuthi uzobona?
Ke chance ya ka ya pele ya hore ke fumane SA Free State motha wa Free State hore ke tle kwano ke tlo bona president.
As a young person as well, President Jacob Zuma will come here to the Southern Lawns, here where you are, to also address you. What are your hopes for what he will say to you?
It's about everything at we bua itlo phethahala. Yo atlo tshepisa yona itlo etsahala.
What are you expecting from some of the performances? Abo Zahara bakhona lana oskita bakhona.
Re tlo bona a great performance. Re tlo jaifa kaofela.
Re tlo jala tlo tsukutsha.
Re tlo tsukutsha.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me speak to someone else as well. Lika ntate. Kiteng. Ntate ukhona nawe namhlanje la kwi Southern Lawns. Uzokwenzani la?
I will celebrate inauguration of our president, our own Comrades Zuma. It's like a Limpopo. It's for the first time we gave a more celebration in this memorable event. So I'm wishing good luck because there are many challenges out there. But for today, now we supporter Comrade Zuma Pambele.
Let's find some more people here. Let me speak to this beautiful young lady. Hello, how are you?
You're 20.
You're 20 years old. Did you vote?
Yes.
Born free?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. First time at the Union Buildings. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. And ngiyajabula ukuthi ngilana and ngisuke KZN and kakhulu like ngijabula kakhulu.
Ufike esikhatsini la mawusuke KZN?
Ngifike la ngabo it was 3:30. Yeah, AM.
Why is it important for you to be here as a young person, as a born free?
Okay, like nje ngizobona umongameli. Yeah, izogcotsha. Yeah, izosiphatha. Hopefully izosiphatha ngendlela right and sibe united as the Republic of South Africa. Yes.
What would you say to other young people? You voted for the first time, you said. You're a born free. You're here to witness this momentous occasion. What would you say to young people?
Okay, to the young people, vote because vote is to raise your voice to everyone. So if you're born free, so vote everything and everything.
And also Chugucha.
Yes, obviously.
Well, that certainly is a momentous occasion here on the southern lawns at the Union Building. So many people have already come in here to celebrate. We're expecting thousands more. The concert will get away at 8 o'clock. Leanne, I tell you, this is where the party is at. We're certainly going to have a very good time here. Leanne, back to you.
Griselda, thank you so much. What a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. It seems to already be happening there on the lawns, the southern lawns. But I've been monitoring that staircase, watching all of the dignitaries arriving and walking in, and they're now coming in fast and furiously, because by 8 o'clock they're hoping that everybody's going to be seated. That's in around about 10 minutes from now, when you're going to be seeing some of the dignitaries arriving, the presidents from the respective countries. Just to give you an idea, the list in front of me has got the president of Botswana. We've got Ian Khama. He will be represented. Well, he'll be here. The president of Cameroon, the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. He'll be here. The king of Swaziland also going to be here with his spouse, His Majesty King Mzwati. Burkina Faso will be represented. The president and commander of chief of forces of the Republic of Zimbabwe, President Robert Mugabe. He's going to be here as well. The president of Chad, the king of Lesotho. He'll be here. The AU chairperson, our very own Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, she will be here to witness this occasion. This list is very, very impressive of the presidents that will be here, as well as the president of the Republic of Mozambique. There are lots more. I'll continue to read them to you as they do arrive, and also as this broadcast carries on. But now joining us is Minister Paul Mashatile, who is in the arts department and also responsible for that wonderful concert that's going to happen on the southern lawns. It's so nice to see you, Minister. Welcome.
Yes, very good morning, Leah.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful occasion today. Very, very celebratory. I mean, I must say that it's a nice feeling to be here.
Most definitely. And we knew that people are going to start arriving early, so we had to arrange beautiful music to welcome them. Because while it is an inauguration of the president, we're also celebrating 20 years of democracy, and that's the overriding theme. You'll see even down at the South Lawn, a lot of South African artists will be performing as part of celebrating the inauguration of the president, celebrating 20 years of democracy. I think it's going to be a beautiful day.
I think it is going to be a beautiful day, and what's so nice about it is that everybody's represented. It's just such a diverse list of artists that you've put together. I mean, we're listening to the song of Zahara now being performed, not performed by Zahara, but by somebody who's doing a really good job. But Zahara is going to be performing, Kurt Darren's going to be performing, DJ Oskido. I mean, you have got such a variety of performers.
Well, we had to ensure that we cater for the diversity of the South African culture. Of course, you for an event like this, half a day, you can't put everybody, but we've tried to spread it, and you'll see throughout the day that almost everybody is here.
Indeed. So after the event is finished, we do know that the heads of state with President Jacob Zuma moved to, I think it's his private residence, for a luncheon. But then the other invited guests also have a luncheon, and they're also going to be entertained. What is your responsibility on this day, your department?
Once the president has taken an oath of office, he will address the nation, and at around 12, he will then go down to the South Lawn to greet the thousands of people who will be down there. And once he has done that, he will take leave for lunch with other heads of states.
How do you feel on an occasion like this? Because you are still a minister, you are taking your seat right up in the front there, but I suppose it's an indecisive time. You're not too sure. I mean, tomorrow the new ministers are going to be announced. How are you feeling? What does it feel to be in your shoes?
Well, we, as ministers, we know that once the president has taken oath of office, that's really the end of the current cabinet. He has to then, in the next few days, appoint a new cabinet. But I'm sure, speaking for all ministers, all of us are grateful that we had an opportunity to serve. And so it's a lovely day for us. We have done our bit. The last 5 years we have served, and the president will decide what next.
Well, good luck. I suppose that's what I can tell you, and thank you for talking to us, and well done on putting this all together, and I'm sure the guests are going to love the entertainment. Thank you very, very much for being with us, Minister Paul Mashatile, talking to us here on the stand that's overlooking this absolutely magnificent area where all the guests are coming in. There was former Minister Manuel on your screen as well. I saw him just kissing somebody hello, just quickly glancing there. But of course, Ayanda's been standing there on the staircase where all of the dignitaries have been arriving, so I'm sure she's had some sightings that perhaps we haven't even had the opportunity of seeing. Ayanda, what's new? What are you seeing there?
Leanne, thank you so much for coming through. Yes, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm in quite a prime position because I get the opportunity to just snatch people as they come off of the buses and pull them aside and ambush them and ask them for an interview. And I've done so at the moment. Just a quick inauguration fact before we get started. South Africa, or Pretoria, I should say, has the second highest number of embassies in the world. We're second only to Washington. So you can imagine, we're quite popular. And one of the foreign officials, I should say, or a man of the cloth or man of God who has come all the way from Barbados is with us. Bahamas? I stand corrected. From the Bahamas is Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe to be exact. And he was brought here by a minister who's going to be minister for about another few hours before the new cabinet is announced, and maybe, and I assume you will be there, but Minister Jomar Peterson, thank you so much for joining us. Why did you see fit to have a religious individual come and oversee some of the proceedings today?
Thank you very much for having this opportunity. Dr. Miles Monroe is my special guest from the Bahamas to bless this occasion. This is the 5th government, the 2nd term of President Zuma, and I do believe that this government needs a spiritual foundation to serve its people with dignity and with moral values. Dr. Monroe is my guest.
Dr. Monroe, you speak and write about leadership all the time. I mean, rediscovering the kingdom, principles on how to run an effective government, not only as an individual, but also as a nation. What do you have to say to the people of South Africa and to President-elect Jacob Zuma?
You know, everything depends on the quality of leadership. And wherever a country goes, or nation, or home, it's determined by the visionary spirit of the leader. And so I'm very congratulatory this morning. I'm just so excited to be here. I bring greetings from my government in the Bahamas, and of course the Honorable Perry Christie, my Prime Minister, and all the leaders of the Caribbean to congratulate South Africa. 20 years of, I guess, the new South Africa, the tremendous order of this election. We watched it on television. Very proud of the people of South Africa. You've set a standard for the world to watch. We're still watching you. And I want to say one thing to President Zuma and all the great leaders here. Don't judge yourselves too harshly. You are a young country. Nations like Great Britain and America, over 300, 400 years old. You're 20 years old. That's a new country. So you are an adolescent. And so I think you are growing faster than we expected. The decency that I see, the order, the quality of the people I see in leadership, very impressive. And I'm looking forward to working more and more with this great government. Again, congratulations to I guess the 2nd term of the president. I've had a privilege to be with him privately. I know his love for South Africa, his passion, and the history of this country is wrapped up in people like you, young people like you, who are taking the baton to the next generation. To all the South Africans, from all the people in the Caribbean, congratulations, we're proud of you, and keep making us proud. We are so excited to be here.
And there's a message from the Bahamas, as I should say correctly. Thank you so much for having joined us. A quick ad break. 20 years old, the democracy. We're still an adolescent, and you know how problematic those adolescents can get. So let's take a quick ad break. Lebu's standing by. She's also going to bring you the latest from what's happening in Auckland Park, the Johannesburg studios of the SABC. Lebu, we're having so much fun out here, but it is freezing cold. I take it it's a bit warmer where you are.
It is very warm here, Ayanda. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's give you news at 8 o'clock. Pomp and ceremony will accompany President Jacob Zuma's inauguration at the Nelson Mandela Amphitheatre at the Union Buildings in Pretoria today. Dignitaries from 47 countries, along with thousands of guests and members of the public, will see the president being sworn in for his second and last term of office.
Final rehearsals and fine-tuning ahead of the inauguration, also marking 20 years of freedom and democracy. A dignified ceremony. A host of artists will entertain guests after the formal proceedings. Mafiki Zolo, Yvonne Chaka, Rebecca Malope, Claire Johnston and Kat Draren among those gracing the event.
It's amazing to be part of the inauguration. It's a great honor. I did it 20 years ago for Nelson Mandela in 1994 on the Union Buildings. And it was just the most amazing feeling and amazing to be part of it, part of history. And, 20 years on, I think we're still having teething problems in South Africa, but we've got to build on what we've achieved so far.
4,500 invited guests will be seated in the Nelson Mandela Amphitheatre, while 2,000 will witness the inauguration on the southern lawns. The ceremony starts at 11 a.m. and is expected to end before 3 p.m. Tsepo Ikaneng, SABC News.
The inauguration will be broadcast live on SABC2 and the SABC's 24-hour channel 404 on DSTV from 8:30 to 1 o'clock. You can also stream it on our website www.sabc.co.za. In other news, the trade union AMCU and the Platinum Mines have denied a report that there's been an agreement on ending the Marathon Platinum Miners strike. The bodies have been meeting at an undisclosed venue mediated by the Labour Court for the past 3 days. AMCU is demanding an entry-level salary of 12,500 rand, which the mining companies say is unaffordable. The United Nations says incidents of sexual violence in conflict and post-conflict areas have increased. That's despite the signing of a declaration by G8 foreign ministers last year, reaffirming that sexual violence in conflict is a breach of the Geneva Convention. NU representative attended a debate on the subject at Pretoria Girls High yesterday.
The recent abduction of over 200 Nigerian schoolgirls placed the limelight on gender-based and sexual violence in conflicts. According to the UN, this is one of the most persistent and neglected injustices in the world.
There are increased instances of sexual violence that are taking place globally, especially in conflict and post-conflict countries. And UN Women, through the executive director under her leadership, we are all taking measures, especially in those countries where sexual violence is highly prevalent.
Sexual violence in conflict is a totally used weapon these days in war situations. And I think that the public reaction around the world has just shown that actually people don't want that anymore.
18 schools in and around Gauteng debated the issue of sexual violence in conflict. Resolutions from the debate will be submitted to a 3-day summit on the matter taking place in London next month. The South African Institute of International Affairs justified why high school learners should be involved in such matters.
I think what we're trying to do is to create a platform and a space for young voices to be heard on really big global issues, and this is one of those big issues.
The Global Summit to End Sexual Violence in Conflict taking place in Britain next month aims to improve investigations into sexual violence in conflict and provide greater support and reparations to survivors. Fentes Timo, SABC News, Pretoria.
Hundreds of people gathered in Thailand's northeastern city of Chiang Mai yesterday evening for a candlelight protest against military rule, a day after the army chief seized power amid a political crisis. Holding candles and carrying banners, they marched through the streets condemning the coup. The army staged a coup on Thursday after failing to forge a compromise in a power struggle between a populist government and the royalist establishment. Despite international calls for the restoration of democratic government, army chief has not promised a swift return to civilian rule. Chiang Mai is the hometown and the power base of ousted Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, who is also the brother of the ex-Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country will respect the results of Ukraine's presidential election, a strong indication the Kremlin wants to cool down the crisis. But new violence and rebel vows to block the balloting made prospects for peace appear distant. New clashes were reported between pro-Russian separatists and government forces in eastern Ukraine as Kiev continued an offensive to try halt the uprising.
Ukrainians are making final preparations for Sunday's presidential election, 3 months after Moscow-backed President Viktor Yanukovych fled the capital in the face of a street uprising. Election officials are distributing polling cards to almost 34,000 polling stations across the country. Some 35.5 million people are eligible to vote. Contingency plans have been made for those in the east who may face disruptions from pro-Russian separatists and minority Tatars in Crimea.
The people who live in the east and in Crimea have no possibility of voting for whatever reason. We all know what the reasons are. They were given the opportunity to apply to the electoral authorities to change their place of voting and exercise their voting rights in any other place of their choice.
Opinion polls suggest confectionery magnate Petro Poroshenko will win the election, or if he fails to muster more than 50% of the vote, in a second round set for June 15th. Polls show former Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko a distant second in the race. Kiev's pro-Western leaders hope Sunday's election will stabilize the former Soviet republic.
All right, let's take a look at the weather in and around the provinces today, starting in Gauteng, Johannesburg, seeing a start of 5 this morning, 6 in Springs and Pretoria, showing that same temperature. We are anticipating those temperatures to just get mild into the early 20s. As you can see, we've got a slight detail in as far as Pretoria weather is concerned. We are going to see those temperatures into the early teens during the day, and that's going to warm up into the early 20s later on. There's no chance of rainfall, but we are going to see those umbrellas coming in handy as a bit of sunshine is going to be seen later on, so you might just going to need it if you're not wearing a hat. Limpopo seeing those temperatures reaching the early 20s as well. Polokwane 23 and 24 in Mokopane. We are going to see just a bit of fog this morning in places like Burgersfort, but that's going to burn out as the day progresses. For most of Mpumalanga as well, we are going to see those fog patches this morning, starting at 6 in Carolina, 5 in Ermelo, and Mkondo at 10, with temperatures reaching and exceeding those 20-degree marks. Well, that's all from me for now. Do stay tuned.
Thank you so much there from Andile. Of course, a big part of the president's inauguration is the fashion. How can we not talk about it? And with us in studio is, of course, fashion designer Craig Jacobs. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks for having me on the show.
What are the themes this year? What is in and what are the colors?
Well, I think what's really important, because it's 20 years of democracy, that I'm hoping that a lot of the people at the inauguration are going to be celebrating South African fashion and hopefully South African design and traditional wear, sheshwesh wear, anything that reflects our country. I think that's really important. We're not in Europe, we're in South Africa, so let's honor that. I mean, I think Madiba did that fantastically with his Madiba shirt. And it's sad that not a lot of politicians have taken up that.
I have to say, though, I haven't seen anybody in Africa. Well, maybe 3 or 4 people in African design. I've seen, very retro. What's in the season, apart from, 20 years of democracy and celebrating our heritage?
Well, I mentioned that because, if you look globally, what's happening is there's a lot of African prints on the catwalk. Michelle Obama's been wearing
Gwen
African
Stefani,
prints.
I've seen,
That's a really strong trend. There's lots of colour. Colour's always great. Yellow is like a very big colour at the moment, and lots of blues as well, because it's calming.
What is a fashion no-no for such an event? We were talking about flat shoes, that you cannot be in flat shoes at an event like that.
Well, you know what? What people tend to forget is, especially when it comes to the first ladies, there's protocol. They have to follow certain rules. So, for instance, the first ladies can't cover their arms. They have to have their arms covered. Everything has to be on the knee or below the knee. So they kind of restricted in terms of they can't look like J-Lo at the presidential, in Pretoria. So those are the kind of things. I mean, I think you have to be comfortable. I think that's really important. You have to dress according to your body shape.
How would you dress as a parliamentary member? We've spoken about the first ladies, what they can and what they can't wear. Ordinary MPs, what do they dress?
I think, if I think about the MPs or our ministers, I think for me, Kgalema Motlanthe does it quite well because he does use traditional fabric, but he wears his tailored suit, but he'll add a little bit of touch of Africa, and I think that's quite a nice way of approaching it.
What are your expectations on the red carpet? Who are you excited to see? And that always, lives up to the expectations.
Look, I'm a little bit sad this year because we're not going to see Lindiwe Mazibuko.
Yeah.
Because she always made an effort. She always wore some great, fantastic South African designers. I love the way that another Lindiwe Sisulu dresses. I think she dresses very stylishly. And I think that in terms of the First Ladies, Thobeka Mabhida. I think Thobeka Mabhida has really been coming out of a shell over the last few years. The outfit she wore, I think, for the opening of Parliament earlier this year, with the red striking colour. I'm looking forward to see what she's going to be wearing today.
All right. Let's wait and see what she gets on. Craig, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Designer Craig Jacobs sharing his input on this year's inauguration red carpet, which is happening as we speak in Pretoria. Let's take an ad break. Stay with us.
Africa is growing at a rapid rate.
A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation.
Like a group of students hard at work in Uganda developing tools that will save lives. Or an African-developed payment method making the public transport industry cashless in Kenya.
You book me through M-Pesa.
There are apps only for people who live here. And the continent is accepting the growth of modern technology usage in people's everyday lives.
The ICT revolution now belongs to Africa.
This is information that matters to us.
To find out a bit more about social media and technology news, join Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
The Swaziland Tourism Authority invited Kaleidoscope on a media tour of what has become known as the Little Switzerland of Africa, the Kingdom of Swaziland. The Mantanga Waterfall is one of Swaziland's best known and most accessible waterfalls, as it can be seen within 50 meters.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Dumelang, Assalamualaikum, Namaste, Goeiemorgen, Jumbo Africa, and a very warm welcome to AM News here on SABC News Channel 404. The Basic Education Minister, Angie Motshekga, has dismissed the renewed Limpopo textbook saga as a storm in a teacup.
They have to collect books the previous year. And it's actually the very principals, if that's what they told me was true, they'll be ill-disciplined because they were supposed to have collected books so that state doesn't buy books because we don't buy the same books every year. A book is supposed to last for 3 years. So they are supposed to collect them so they don't run short.
That's AM News, daily at 10 a.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live on SABC 2. Let's take you back to Pretoria, where Leanne Manus is standing by. Leanne, take it away.
Lebo, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, still standing with our fantastic view of what's happening over here in the amphitheatre, and all the guests walking in, and I must say most of the chairs have been filled already from some of those invited guests, and they're seated, they're waiting for the arrival of all the dignitaries. We can see a lot of the ministers have walked in. Our program directors for this morning are Jessie Duarte and Jeff Radebe. They've already welcomed the crowds and have been talking to them throughout the morning and just setting the scene, introducing the musical acts and just keeping the crowds entertained, because it is a long morning. I mean, we do know that some of the vehicles have been leaving the drop-off points from about 4 o'clock this morning. So that's a long time. Well, there on your screen, you're seeing some actors here. So it's not only politicians that are in attendance. There's Siyabonga Twala as well, who's seated and waiting for the proceedings to go. Well, you can see reading a program on your screen here. Well, let me tell you what's on that program, because that was one of the first things that I had asked for as soon as I arrived, just to get an idea of what to expect. Well, according to the program, at 10 to 11, all of the guests are to be seated. 11 o'clock, there'll be the welcoming remarks from our program directors, who are Jeff Radebe and Ms. Jessie Duarte. And we've also then, at 3 minutes past 11, there'll be an interfaith prayer service led by SANDF Chaplain General Brigadier General Monwabisi. So that is going to be happening. At just before 11:15, the presidential oath of office is administered by Chief Justice Mogoeng. At about 18 minutes past 11, there'll be a congratulatory item by Mbongi Zolani Mkiva. So that's very, very good to also to have. 20 past 11, if you are here in the Pretoria area, that's when you have to look up, because that's when you're going to see some of those incredible flybys that'll be taking place. And the 21 gun salute, the national anthem, a salute, a flight, as well as an air display by the Air Force. So that'll happen then. About 25 minutes before 12, the President is expected to address us for about 15 minutes. It'll be his first address to the nation as the President moving into his second term. And then, of course, His Excellency, the President, will then acknowledge the final compliments. Another air display will take place, but this time by South African Airways. Now, I saw the rehearsals taking place yesterday, and it was magnificent. So look forward to that. That's going to be happening in a short while as well. A vote of thanks, and that will be the end of the official ceremony. And the President will make his way down to the southern lawns, where around about 20,000 South Africans are expected to gather for a concert that'll take place. All right, let's take a break here on the program. And when we return, we're going to have more of these visuals that are taking place. And you're going to enjoy this. I promise you. You're already seeing the ministers taking their seats. We saw our health minister also taking a seat there. And we'll be back after this. You stay tuned.
Your World provides trusted world, continent and local stories. We deliver breaking news from across the globe and information on the latest top stories on business, technology, politics and sport. Analysis of the big global business and economic issues as they affect consumers and investors. Make sure you don't miss Your World, weekdays between 11 and 12 midnight. We keep the nation fully informed.
I, Jacob Gedlehlekisa Zuma, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa, so help me God.
Watch the inauguration of President Jacob Zuma on Saturday, 24th of May from 9 a.m. right here on SABC News Channel. All news, all global, all the time.
Coming up this week.
It all started with a backpack, 100 Rand, a cell phone, a camera, and a dream. Sonia Grace embarked on a journey to discover what connects us all as South African, and in her adventure, she learned firsthand the true meaning of Ubuntu.
Right, welcome back. Seeing all of the ministers now walking in, I must say they're all coming in. You can see the dancing on your screen right now, and everybody very, very excited. So I think there's a great celebratory mood here at the Union Buildings as we await the inauguration of our president. But it was quite a light and jovial moment when Minister Jeff Radebe made an announcement earlier saying that all the ministers are walking in nervously now, not knowing what their future holds for them, because this, of course, sees the end of their term and the cabinet being dissolved and a new cabinet being appointed now. Well, joining me now to talk a little bit more about this is Dr. Somadadi Fakeni, a political analyst. Good to have you. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much on this morning of winter, which is promising to be warm.
Well, there's Mac. He's walking up, Mac Maharaj. He's making his way up the stairs now. So as you can see, I wasn't exaggerating when I say that everybody's walking in. How do you think the ministers are feeling right now?
Anxious, nervous, and reading any body language from the presidency to see if they will be called tonight or on Sunday.
Yeah. So you mean they actually have no idea at this point?
Except for the close ones who are also involved in the deployment process. The rest may just be inquiring, they will be checking their SMSs. Any SMS that cries now, you jump for it to check if indeed, or you look for the language during the week when you met, interacted with the president, if he talked about the importance of your department and what you should do going forward. Yeah. That's when you read the sign language.
Yeah, you read that sign language and you see whatever you could feel at this point. Who do you feel is a Shurin? Are there any Shurins at this point that will be reappointed or at least redeployed to another position?
Almost certainly Cyril Ramaphosa taking the deputy presidency, and also senior cabinet ministers like Jeff Radebe, as well as Motsoaledi, Naledi Pandor, those who have been performing exceptionally well, were certain that they were going to be taken in one position or another, whether in parliament, higher positions, or in the cabinet.
All right, let's take a break very, very quickly. We're going to be with you straight after this. There's Minister Nathi Mthethwa on the screen right now. We saw Mac Maharaj a little bit earlier as well. So just stay tuned. We'll have more visuals after this. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record.
When you cross the line, what went through one's mind?
None of the four of us knew where it won. The scoreboard is always on the left, but all of us tend to the right. No, we just waited for the country to go down. RSA.
That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Sello Mutau. Join me on Health Talk every Saturday morning between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. as we unpack current health stories. This coming Saturday, we're discussing ADHD and autism in children. Don't miss it. Health Talk, making you aware.
Who are we, you ask? This is who we are.
We are technologically driven.
We are unashamedly Afrocentric.
We advise you not only on legal matters,
but on health issues as well.
We bring imagination to life.
We celebrate arts and culture and lifestyle.
We tackle life challenges head on.
We dig deep. We probe. We question.
We invite you to take a view from our house,
as we tell it without fear, separating fiction from factual. We are the SABC News Channel.
All news, all global, all the time.
Joining us. The sun is certainly out, so we're feeling much warmer. But as I said, spirits very high today as we witness various officials from South Africa and further afield come to say congratulations to President-elect Jacob Zuma. At the end of today, he will again, for the second term now, be President of South Africa. And at the end of the day, as Leanne touched on, the cabinet will be dissolved. Tomorrow we are expecting an announcement on who the new ministers will be, and they will be sworn in on Monday. But let's speak to the SABC's presidential correspondent, Mzwandile Mbeche, who's been covering events related to President Jacob Zuma and issues of the presidency for the last 5 years, the administration. What has it been like? You've witnessed the highs and the lows. What can you share?
It's been both exciting, challenging, and difficult at times, with all that goes with it. You know, when you are covering an event where the president is involved, there's always issues of security. In that aspect, it's been quite challenging. But then you look at what was the mandate, what he was supposed to have to do in terms of clinching trade relation deals with other people, and that I think has been good to witness how he goes about and trying to make relations with various people, be it Americas, Africa, and of course, I think the focus has been more on Africa. You know, he is actually the champion of infrastructure development on the continent. So those are the kinds of things that he's been doing. And I can tell you, given what he's been saying and then what he's been hinting, and even from the election campaigns, this is going to be the 5 years of action, and more action.
As he looks to leave a legacy. Now you are probably, I should give you a new title of being protocol expert. You're the go-to guy if you want to know, listen, how do we maneuver our way around this? Because you are now so familiar with protocol, having followed the president all sorts of places. Can you share anything that has happened, maybe something funny, something that we don't know about the president, maybe a soft spot that he has for a particular place or town? What can you tell us that we can't get from anybody other than you?
You know, other than him being the president, you know, he's also the father. You know, when we perhaps travel with him, and then he would sometimes like joke, and then he would say, you know, at some point, we also used to be around the Tambos, President Tambos, and boom, we became presidents. So you guys, as you always around us, so one day I think you will also find yourselves president. So I think you would feel that he's actually making you to see that, you know what, this is the job. It may be the president, but you must feel at home. You must enjoy being around him, because he feels good if people relate to him as an ordinary person, you know. And you know, there's so many things. And you know, when he goes to a country like Angola or Mozambique, you know, he can speak a bit of Portuguese, and then he would always tease us because we would be there a day before, and then he would say, I hope you guys have learned one thing or two, and then he will start greeting us in Portuguese, and it becomes fun, you know. And then he loves laughing, you know. He will just laugh because, I mean, he will get confused, and then he will just say, wow, so I've got one over you guys.
But I know he's got a very good sense of humor, and just speaking about the father figure that he is, even his staff at the presidency, the likes of Obongani or Professor, call him Ubaba. So he's very fatherly, and I know he likes to tease you guys a lot as well, including them. But we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and I know you'll be right here next to me as we await the various heads of state that are set to arrive here. Now, those heads of state are the sitting leaders of different governments across the continent. and we will be coming to you live with the very latest information as and when they come. They're going to get dropped off right there. They'll turn around, they'll wave at you, so be sure to wave right back. And of course, we're expecting just under 30 of them. Stay with SABC. We've got the very latest from the Union Buildings, Nelson Mandela Amphitheatre. Lebu Tinani is in studio, and she's keeping an eye on what's happening in other parts of the world. Lebu, it's over to you.
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record.
When you cross the line, what went through one's mind?
None of the four of us knew we'd won. The scoreboard is always on the left, but all of us tend to the right. No, we just waited for the country to go down. RSA.
That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Why are protests violent? And why does it seem that the police are incapable of dealing with violent crowds?
The government of the day is failing the people, and it's leading to a lot of frustration. A person becomes a councillor or a minister, within a week, within 2 months, is riding a beautiful car. So all this is actually frustrating the people and giving the wrong
You don't
message.
expect a councillor to ride a horse?
Not a horse, but maybe a Toyota Corolla.
That's Rights and Recourse, Sundays 2 p.m. on SABC News.
Africa is symbolized by these magnificent trees. The Sunland Big Baobab is carbon dated to be around 1,600 years old. When baobabs become 1,000 years old, they begin to hollow inside. In the Big Baobab, this has resulted in the world-famous Baobab Tree Bar.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back to the Union Buildings this morning as we await the inauguration of our President Jacob Zuma. It should happen at around about 11 o'clock this morning, but as you can see, the guests have arrived. They are the program directors for the morning, Minister Jeff Radebe and Jesse Duarte, and they have been just talking through the audience, the proceedings that will be happening, and just explaining to them what's going on. Well, there you can see, again, just have a listen to what they're saying, just as I keep quiet for a bit.
Stay closer to us.
At this juncture, I would like to acknowledge the leadership of the trade union movement, COSATU, and all other trade unions. I see President Stumo Dlamini is in the house. And also the mother of the nation, Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Thank you.
Well, there you can see Bridget Radebe. She's greeting Winnie Madikizela Mandela. They're having a conversation, and this is what's been happening all morning as people do walk in. There is an acknowledgement of some of the VVIPs that are here in attendance. Well, we will stop if we need to during the interview. I've still got our political analyst with us, Somadoda Fikeni, who's been talking to us about a couple of the issues around there. And it's a very impressive list of presidents from the African continent that have RSVP that are going to be coming here. So let's just have a very quick chat about some of them. Looking at the list, you've got it in your hand. Anything new, or are these the countries that are normally represented here?
Well, I do think that it's generally the same countries which demonstrate South Africa's role within the African continent. But also you do have your BRICS, membership of South Africa coming in here. That's why Brazil has sent the vice president, and the other BRICS country membership has come in. Then you do have Cuba, which has always supported the South African liberation struggle, having sent its vice president as well. Nicaragua, that's where solidarity of the former liberation movements, the Sandinistas, they come into play. But generally this time around, the greatest concentration is the African leadership.
Indeed, and having a look at some of the leaders, one particular leader that's going to be present here, who has his hands quite full at this point, it's Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, who has said that he will be attending. Any surprises there? Would you think that perhaps he wouldn't come and focus on the country, or is that sort of not an issue at this point for him? He has people dealing with it at home.
To the extent that he has not yet visited the area, the hotspot in the northern part of Nigeria, that could be an issue, and the fact that you still have the missing girls who have not been traced. But he could turn around and say forums of this nature, where you have the greatest concentration of African leaders and international diplomats, he would use that to canvass some of them for the support, and also to speak to the neighboring countries as well on the same matter. So it has a double-edged sword. It could be seen negatively that he's here when there's a crisis, and it could be seen as an opportunity for getting more support.
Let's just read a couple of the presidents that will be coming. I won't read their name, I'll just tell you the representative country. President of the DRC, the President of the Seychelles, Mozambique, Togo, South Sudan, Burundi, Tanzania, Benin, Nigeria, as we have spoken about, the Republic of Guinea, of Mauritius, Ghana, Somalia, Kenya, Mali, Madagascar. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
Like a roll call of AU, because here you do have quite a huge turnout of African leaders. And again, it underscores South Africa's importance and influence in the African continent, and the high regard with which South Africa is actually held. And it has been involved in most of your peacekeeping missions, in most of your peace-seeking diplomatic efforts, virtually around the world.
Indeed. Looking at our BRICS countries, obviously there are representatives that are coming. We see, I think it's the vice president that will be coming from Brazil and India. I'm not sure. I know you've got the list in your hand there as well, the representation from BRICS. Is it good? Would you think that's commendable?
It's commendable, but also with India, remember that there is a changeover of government. They just came out of elections, and the Congress party lost quite comprehensively in that election. So the absence of their president might be due to that, because they are also going through the same transition.
On your screens right now, that's not here in the auditorium. That's actually, I beg your pardon, in the amphitheater. That's on the southern lawns. You can see the thousands of people that have already gathered there for the concert that will be taking place. There are also massive screens that have been erected there so that the members of the public can enjoy the ceremony that will take place. And then, of course, the musicians are going to be taken to the stage. That's put up there, which is really such a wonderful occasion to be a part of. If you are in the area, come down. Remember, you can't bring your car here, but there are park and ride facilities at different areas, and there's so many road closures here in Pretoria, so you really have to just check that out, because coming in here, you'll be directed to every other road. So I'm sure life disrupted here, but this is just for the one day every 5 years that this day is stealing the traffic and the roads here in Pretoria. So to the residents, thank you for lending us your roads, and also thanks for your patience as well through all of this. It's a great great occasion that's here in your city. Well, I must say, just having a look at all the people that are here, such a festive and jovial atmosphere that are here amongst the guests. You see them joking. I mean, we also saw Notoro Kivit dancing. It was such a lovely, lovely picture moment, and I hope some of the viewers did get that. You were telling me she's sighing us a relief there because she's been given that position as a speaker as well, so she's got something to celebrate about.
Certainly, being a speaker is a very powerful position because you do the oversight over government in your control of Parliament of the province. It could have been worse because other premiers, when they lost out, they are out. But in the Eastern Cape, she was a speaker before. Now she has returned to a role that she's familiar with.
I also have seen a lot of there's Tokyo Sekwale. He's walking in on the screen there as well, taking his place, going to get his seat as well. A former minister in Jacob Zuma's cabinet, no longer a minister, of course, but still very, very highly regarded, though.
Well, he's still a prominent business person, and I'm sure now he's off into concentrating in business. Remember, politics is quite a rough horse. You ride, sometimes you have to step off, but the journey continues.
Absolutely, I like the way you put it. We also saw a lot of the heads of the opposition parties that made their way in earlier. I saw dear leader Helen Zille, we saw Mangosuthu Buthelezi as well. And to be honest, I actually haven't spotted anybody else that's walked in. But I'm sure every single opposition party is represented here.
Generally, they would be all in. It would be interesting if the EFF would like to have the most distinct presence again in their uniform, or whether they'll just blend in the normal suits on a day like this.
Yeah, indeed. I actually haven't seen Julius Malema. He very well may be here, but just out of the shots that I've been seeing, I haven't seen him. Actually, speaking about that right now, Floyd Shivambu apparently has just arrived. So there you go. I wasn't preempting anything, I promise you. I was just told now. It's not on your screen, but Floyd Shivambu is walking up. So they are here.
Telepathic powers.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. You know, one thing, just getting away from the African continent and our BRICS partners, what about representatives from Europe, from America? Are we seeing anything here that's happening, or representatives from these parts of the world?
Surely they'll have diplomats coming in, but what is very important on occasions like this is how senior those diplomats are. You don't see the president or deputy president or secretary of state from the US. Maybe, and just maybe, that South Africa is drifting to the arms of BRICS, and that one of the BRICS members, Russia, they are locking their horns with it now, might be one of the explanations for them sending perhaps a low-key presence here.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, let's break away from these visuals for now, and let's show you an insert about the man of the moment. We're talking about our President Jacob Zuma. You know, let me just, before I link to this insert, I was actually asking about the chairs that are up on the podium. You'll see that there are 14 chairs that are on the main podium. Okay, now these 14 chairs are for the 5 leaders or the heads of the SANDF, 5 for the heads of the SAPS. Then, of course, there is a chair there for the Chief Justice Mogoeng. Then there is another chair that is for the President-elect, that's President Jacob Zuma. The other chair is for Makhumalo, that's who we believe is going to be accompanying President Jacob Zuma. And then there's another chair, there's a spare chair. And I was asking, now, who's the 14th chair for? And I got my answer. It isn't for anybody, it's for the President. When the President actually sits down, it'll be in that chair where he will sign the oath of office. So it's that chair that he will sit on in order to sign that particular oath of office. So those are the 14 chairs, and that's who's going to be occupying them, if you were wondering. Well, President Jacob Zuma, he's had a rich history here in South Africa. He's had an incredibly rich history in the African National Congress that he has now been leading for 5 years and moving in to the next 5 years. Let's have a look at this insert about him.
On the 12th of April, 1942, a child was born to Gcinamazwi and Nokubekisisa Zuma. The child would grow to defy the odds by rising up against profound poverty to a place of global prominence.
Jacob Gedlehlekisa Zuma, the first of 5 children from his father's second wife, was introduced to the ANC by his older half-brother and has been active in politics for over 50 years. But today we turn our attention away from his roles as head of state and leader of the ANC, and we focus more on Jacob Zuma, the individual. And what better way to do that than to join him in one of his favorite pastimes, a game of chess. So, after all the formalities and niceties, I began by asking him a question I'd been itching to ask.
I want to get something out of the way because I have it on good authority that you in fact watch Morning Live in the morning.
I do.
So which means your day must start very early. Take us through your morning routine.
Well, my morning routine, I usually wake up early 6. And then you don't want to know. 6 is the time that was stuck in my head in prison. The bell rang at 6, and it got to my blood. At 6, I must wake up, even if I can sleep thereafter. So at 6, I'm up. I know exactly it's morning, it's morning live, just the time.
I had to get that promo live on TV so we can get it out there.
I look at it on a daily basis.
But it's very interesting that your body clock was wired up to wake up at 6 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Even when you need to sleep in, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's very, very tough being president. You don't have a lot of spare time on your hands.
Not at all.
But on the rare occasion that you do have a minute or two, you enjoy playing a game of chess.
Of course, if I have the moment, I do so. I enjoy it. I have enjoyed it for a long time. I'm not a champ. I'm just a novice. I just love it. I think it is a wonderful game.
Tell us about where that interest for chess started. Where and when did it start?
This interest started mainly, I knew about it. I hadn't had time to play it. It started in Robben Island because I had more time. And that's why I learned it properly. That's when, if you are playing chess, you won't see how the day has moved. It was consumed here on an interesting thing, looking at new moves, reading, studying the mind of the opponent, anticipating what move they might take to counter yours, and what would be your move, how to capture the king. Well, that's a major thing, how to capture the king. You can capture the king without taking any piece, if you are clever. But at times, people play until there is very few, and at times they don't call that checkmate. They call it stalemate.
I like that you mentioned capturing the king. I think it's a good skill to acquire, learning how to play chess, especially for a president. A lot of calculating moves.
A lot of calculating moves. Quite helpful even these days, because you don't think, you don't see a thing and conclude. You have got to sit back and think, so that your move, your action, must be emerging from thinking, calculating, looking at disadvantages and advantages, misleading your opponent to think that you are moving this way and that you are moving this way. It's an interesting thing.
And who's been your favorite opponent and why?
No, I can't say there's anyone. I've played a number of opponents. I used to play this a great deal with President Thabo Mbeki. We were once arrested together in prison in Swaziland. We spent a lot of time together playing chess. The strength was equal, almost. We had time. At times we'd beat him, at times I was beat him.
You spoke to us about the mental agility that it takes to not only run the country, but also enjoy a good game of chess.
Absolutely.
But I know that you participated in some physical recreational activity as well growing up, especially in Robben Island, as a referee of some of the soccer matches. Do you still enjoy watching a good game of soccer?
Absolutely. That's a game I know better as well. I love it. I love it. The referee was there. I refereed in B division. And I refereed also in the A division. But I was a player. I was a captain of my team. I was commanding my team in my club called Rangers, which somebody, Eric Walla, described it as the team with the players with a great heart. We played with smiles, and they were very good. I love playing, and I play defense. I'm not scoring goals. That's not mine. Mine is stopping goals being scored to my team. So I loved it, and I used to teach people soccer, refereed, Absolutely wonderful. Whenever there was a peak teams, I would never be left out because I was an asset.
And do you still have the moves?
I still have the moves. At times when Bafana plays, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
You know?
So put me.
Absolutely.
Put me there. Choose me.
Absolutely.
Put me there.
So, what are some of the lessons the president has learnt from sport?
One of the things I taught myself, don't get angry. Anger has put people into many difficulties. You get angry. I believe that in a human's makeup, there are senses that you utilize. Now, if you allow the sense of anger to dominate, you can commit murder without realizing. Once that sense goes down, you realize how big a mess we have done. After all, people could make you very angry in order for you to commit a lot of mistakes. When I talk about one thing I knew better when I was a young man, stick fighting. If you are angry, you get so angry that you can't avoid the stick coming to you, you don't see it. Because you are angry, something just... And you can't think properly.
Those life lessons that you learned, those are things you can't learn from the corridors of any university. No. And you spoke about your childhood, which is something that I feel that we need to bring out more. The reasons behind you not getting a formal education was not because you did not want to go to school, not because you wanted to jump fences, but because of the situation at home. Tell us. I
wanted to go to school desperately. I even had things I wanted to become. I thought I must be a teacher, if not a teacher, a pastor, if not a pastor, a lawyer. I was very clear. Circumstances couldn't allow me to do so. Firstly, my father died. I know almost a shadow of him, not himself. And therefore, I had to move from one place to the other with my mother. My mother had to start to work as a domestic worker. As you know, she couldn't come to somebody's house with a family. So I had to remain in my uncle's place for some time and back home. And during those days, education was not seen as an important thing. If you're a boy, look after cattle and goat. If you're a girl, prepare to get married. I pleaded that I wanted to go to school. And then the question was, who's going to look after your father's cattle? I was a boy, and I had to do it. So I had to adopt that life to be a school in itself. But I took a resolution that I would educate myself, and that's what I did.
You were driven, you were passionate, you were determined. Did you ever in your wildest dream think that you would one day be president?
Never. I never thought of it. It never crossed my mind.
The president has promised a tell-all book with more on his private life.
You will read the book. Few years to come, you'll read.
And we look forward to that book.
Ayanda Ali Payne, Mahlamba Ndlovu, Pretoria.
Right, welcome back. Such a lovely piece that was put together by Ayanda during the run-up to the elections. She had a chance to spend some time with all of the political leaders and the party leaders, and that was her moment that she had with President Jacob Zuma. All right, now, the highlight, I suppose, and we spoke about it a bit earlier, was what the SADF put together and also what South African Airways do. And that will happen just after the president has signed his oath towards the end of the ceremony. He will then stand by and watch the SAA do their flyby. Now, joining me to talk a little bit more about this is Phumelele Manensa, who is the chief pilot with SAA. Well, he's the incoming chief pilot at SAA, officially assuming that role on the 1st of June. Firstly, congratulations on the appointment and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leanne, and good morning to you and to the viewers.
This is a great position for you, and I'm just going to steal attention and put it towards you for a while. You're the very first black pilot to assume this position in the country, and that is a huge accolade, so well done.
Indeed. Yeah, yes, you're quite correct. I am the first black pilot to assume this position at SAA, chief pilot position at SAA, which is wonderful thing and very exciting. I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
Well done and good luck for all of that. SAA playing a very big role in today's proceedings as well. Talk us through, what can we expect from the airline?
All right, I think what we're going to expect to see today is nothing different from what we have done before in the past. We did it in 1995 during the inauguration of the former president, late President Madiba. During that time, we flew the Boeing product. It was the Boeing 747-400, and we led the formation. And it was flown by some of our retired captains. And today we are flying the Airbus product, the Airbus 600.
Who are the pilots that are going to be flying today?
Today's pilots is Captain Sandy Bain, our acting head of flight operations. We also have Pierre Gous and Senior First Officer Arthur Paswane in the flight deck.
Have they flown previously during big occasions like this?
They have, trust me, they have done those flights before on numerous occasions as well.
So on numerous occasions. How do you practice for something like this? Because I was watching as I was driving into Pretoria yesterday. I could see the SAA planes doing their rehearsals. But talk to me about it. I mean, when do they get the opportunity to practice?
Look, there's a lot of practice that goes into that. First of all, we've got the simulator at work where the guys basically go in there. They can simulate just about anything that they want to simulate in terms of the weather, in terms of what patterns they want to fly, the kind of formation that they want to fly, the speeds, the configuration. So they do that in the simulator predominantly, but they also have the opportunity to go and do that live.
Amazing. On your screens right now, just to break away from the conversation, you were seeing the Deputy President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, walking in. I also saw Gwedi Mantashe. He was walking in at the same time. So everybody coming in. I think once you see the Deputy President coming in, you are going to know that that proceedings are very, very close to getting underway. And just one final question. Anything special we can expect from the aircraft today?
I think the occasion itself is very, very special, but I think the approach from the formation itself, it's going to be our guys. SAA is going to be the Air Force as well. I think that is going to be very, very special.
I'm sure it is going to be. Is it? I mean, each time you do something at an event like this, is it a different formation? Because I suppose we are none the wiser as the person just looking up to the sky watching it. But you, obviously being the professionals, so it's a different formation each time.
Look, it's a different formation each time, but they are going to stick to the same type of aircraft that they flew from the Air Force's point of view. But from our side, obviously now we're using the Airbus, like I said, but the formation itself, it's a similar formation that we've seen before. But the day is beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a very smooth day for the guys. They are going to love it. And as I said, you're looking at about, the guys approaching at about 180 knots or thereabout, which is about 330 kilometers if you want to convert that, and nice and slow. So it's going to be a beautiful view.
Well, thank you. We look forward to it. Can't wait to see it and experience it. The chief pilot for SAA coming in taking over on the 1st of June. Phumelele Manensa talking to us here ahead of the inauguration of President Jacob Zuma. Thank you very much. Enjoy the occasion. Absolute pleasure. All right, let's go back to Ayanda now, who's standing on the steps where all of the dignitaries and invited guests are walking up. Ayanda, over to you.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Yes, it's become a little bit crowded here at the moment. International media, journalists converged over here to get that prime position to catch what's happening behind me. That's where the red carpet is beginning, and that is where we've seen the dignitaries come in their numbers. ANC top 6 have already descended upon us. In fact, 3 of the top 6 we've spotted right here in this position. The Deputy President, Cyril Ramaphosa, you mentioned that, Leanne, a moment or two ago. The Secretary General, Gwedi Mantashe, also with his partner, just walked past us in a moment. And then we also have the TG, Zwelim Kize. He's also here. We're waiting for a few others. But in the meantime, we've seen President Jacob Zuma's family come here. One daughter who's very famous. She was on Isidingo on our sister station there, SABC 3. She's here along with her siblings and some of the other relatives of President Jacob Zuma to come and witness this momentous occasion, I should say. But we'll leave it there for now. My colleagues are standing by. Mzwandile Mbeje, the presidential correspondent. I wanted to say he's the protocol chief because he knows exactly what happens in these proceedings. He'll be joining us in a little while to also take us through some of the foreign heads of state who are going to be here, the likes of Goodluck Jonathan from Nigeria, the likes of Uhuru Kenyatta. We also heard words of Joseph Kabila being here, Robert Mugabe from Zimbabwe, so just to name a few, and he will be letting you in on who's coming and when, right here behind me. This is a spot you don't want to leave, actually, but Leanne, it's back to you.
I can see you've had an absolute ball there, Ayanda. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well done. Well, I can tell you I've enjoyed my spot as well. I have kept saying that I've had the bird's eye view, and there on your screen is what I'm looking at as well. There's Winnie Madikizela Mandela being greeted by all of the guests coming by. I'm sure she's going to be tired by the end of today, as everybody stops by to say hello and greet her out of absolute respect. So here we go. I am now joined by Mr. Vuyo Mvoko. You're looking very dapper, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Leanne.
You dressed for the occasion. What an occasion, because you are just filling in with all of the others. I mean, I've just been watching people arriving, and everybody's looking beautiful today.
Dressed to kill, indeed. Look, I mean, it's one of those occasions comes once every 5 years, and people dress up for it. But also, this is a place to be seen for people who reckon they have to be, taken as seriously as they think they should be taken. So, I mean, your politicians, your business people, the diplomatic corps, members of civil society, but also, I mean, obviously, I mean, this is where they get a chance to sort of, speak to the people who, who knows? We don't know what the announcements are going to look like tomorrow. So you may just meet the right guy here today who may well be the minister tomorrow of something or of one thing or the other. So people are here to rub shoulders, chat to them, and leave their business card. So it's an occasion to remember, but I mean, it's a place to be. I mean, for people who occupy, shall we say, a special place in society.
Yeah, that certainly is. I mean, it's possibly the biggest networking occasion ever. I've been standing here since very, very early, and I mean, I've seen guests been coming in since around about 4:30 this morning, then 5 o'clock, and these guys have been sitting here. They've been waiting very, very patiently for the proceedings to begin. They've been entertained by this wonderful band. The program directors, of course, coming up and telling people what to expect. Nobody is batting an eyelid. Everybody just knows what they're in for and just enjoying this, because this is, as you say, this is the place to be, and you don't know who you're sitting next to.
And you certainly don't want to miss it if you get an opportunity to crack an invite. And as you say, I mean, they've been sitting here quietly. No one is panicking, because I think people sort of get themselves up for it, because imagine you guys have been here since like 3 a.m. Still.
Thanks for telling the viewers, and he's not lying.
No, I'm not lying at all. I remember, I was a little late. You guys left me, at the hotel, because you had to be here because you had to start the show a lot earlier than I was going to do. But as I say, no one's panicking. I mean, even at 5, 6 o'clock, people were at the sort of drop-off or park and ride venue, and no one was panicking. They were just having coffee, milling around, chit-chatting, reminiscing, but also it's interesting to sort of meet all the people. Whatever happened to him? Where has he been all these years? Ex-ministers, I mean, people who used to lead, business chambers, who used to be advisors to ministers and to various government entities. I mean, to see them here after so many years and then catching up. Hey, what have you been up to? It's been quite
an occasion. I want to ask you, in terms of former President Thabo Mbeki. Now, I was speaking to Somadori Fekene, he was saying that he had heard he is going to be present here today. Anything from your side? Have you heard? Is he going to be here today?
Well, certainly from the program, if you look at the program, from about 9 o'clock, it sort of details who's going to arrive when. The speaker with her spouse, the deputy speaker, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, with her spouse, as well as the deputy chairperson of the national, and then former President Thabo Mbeki is on that list. We will, of course, a little later on take people through who's going to arrive, when, with who, and that sort of thing. So he is certainly, scheduled to arrive a little before President Jacob Zuma himself arrives. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. As we said to you, this is the point now where we're going to be seeing a lot of those presidents arriving. I think a lot of them have already come in terms of the ambassadors that are representing some of the countries. But you're going to see the presidents themselves, and there are going to be announcements as they do walk in. We've got our program directors that are already standing up at the podium. That's Minister Jeff Radebe and Jesse Duarte as well. So they're going to talk us through exactly who's coming in, who they are, and then they'll take up their seats and get quite a grand entrance into this occasion. Now, we've been crossing all the time to Griselda Lewis because she's out on the lawns where around about 20,000 fans of our president and of the musicians and artists that are going to be performing have gathered there. So she's been having the opportunity of talking to some of them. So let's now cross to her and find out what things are like there now, because it must be filling up quite dramatically. Griselda.
Well, Leanne, I tell you, on the screen at the moment, to massive applause there, as you can see. President-elect, President Jacob Zuma, that as you can hear, there are many people clapping their hands there. That's exactly what is expected to take place again here today for a second-term President-elect Jacob Zuma. The crowds here, I tell you, are building up every second. There are hundreds of people here now coming to witness this momentous occasion. They're saying they're very glad to be part of what's taking place here today, and they say certainly everybody should come out. Well, certainly here 20,000 people are expected. There are about hundreds of them. That's exactly what the atmosphere is like here at the moment. South African flags everywhere. But I'm going to hand over now to a colleague of mine, Yoliso Nchamela, who is going to join us now. She joins the broadcast, and she's right up there on the stage.
Since 4 a.m., of course, many South Africans, hundreds of these South Africans that you see behind us converged here, and the excitement is building up. It was very chilly and dark at that time, but none of them cared because, of course, this is a very proud moment for many South Africans, a momentous occasion, isn't it? Of course, you'll remember that it feels like it's been long, because the country was gripped by election talk, by the national general elections. But it's just been a couple of months. From then on, it went to Parliament, where the National Assembly elected the president. It culminates into this now, this day. And of course, for you, just for you at home, we're coming to you live from the stage, Prime Sport, and we're bringing you all the artists that will be performing right here on this stage, as is to you at home. But let's take it back to the studio for now.
You'll see on the screen, we will go to the presidential inauguration. I just want to mention Uguti Lendebenibona Manje was from the previous inauguration.
Well, welcome back here to the Southern Lawns at the Union Buildings. The events are just about getting underway. Hundreds of people here, as I've been saying. If you haven't come to the Union Buildings yet, there's still space for you amongst the 20,000 who are going to be accommodated here. Now, don't forget, do not come with your personal car. You must go to the Tshwane Event Center. You'll be picked up from there and be brought here to the Southern Lawns to come and enjoy with us. Let me speak to some of the young people actually here who come all the way from the Free State, I understand. Siswam, let me just come this way. Ufike nini la eJoburg uzokwenzani la?
Ke phakela e celebrate le Jacob Zuma ga tlo pagama stilo sa bo presidente
Tlago, Khetling Municipality, Eki presents a Majoro Midupi. I love you.
All right, tell me now, you are a young person. This will be President Jacob Zuma's second term. What do you want to see happen for young people?
Ke batla gore e be gona le mosebetsi mo South Africa, dikolo di nne teng, di bazari, di tlholo di nne teng.
Re se ipana re le go di tronkong ka bontsi. Sisi, you're also here today. You've come to celebrate with your friend. You arrived in the early hours of the morning.
Yo batho ba modimo se re tsoga ka 4 hoseng de we rata Jacob Zuma ka teng ga re se rata ANC ya mandla.
ANC o mango.
I tell you, there's so much excitement here. I also have my dancing shoes on. I've actually taken off my high heels and I have my pumps on. It's the best that I can do on the southern lawns here. Mama Wena, you're also here to celebrate. I see you have your ANC beret on. You're dressed quite warm. Tell us why you are here.
Oh, ke mona ka lebaka la baneng ke tlilo tla tlhomamisa mo president wa rona hape kgetlo la bobedi because o re tsetse ngata and still santse re lebeletse tse ngata from yena and ke ka leboa holo ha ile gore a ka focus haholo bathong ba diplasing because re tswa diplasing ne re batla gore lefapha le la ntsho la rural development ka re a ka lefa first preference because re hloka matsu re hloka metsi re hloka metlakase.
All right. Thank you, man. But now let's take a short break. We'll come back to you just a little bit later. Festivities are underway and all the excitement is building up here on the southern lawns.
Evacuation. Should something happen that we have to evacuate?
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record.
When you cross one's